Well met, and welcome to another episode of Lifting Lore, the series where we take our favorite fantasy and video game characters and see just what lessons we can learn from them and apply to our own quests to level up in strength, wisdom, and general excellence. Today's episode focuses on the Argonians, and as an added bonus, you'll also get some extra history on the histories. You'll get it in about 50 seconds. I'm Ulana Rance, this is Muscle and Magicka, and you, my friend, just accepted a quest. Chances are, the very first time you ever caught sight of an Argonian, you probably thought the exact same thing that I did. It's a walking lizard thing. But as you are hopefully coming to understand, in the Elder Scrolls universe, nothing is as it appears. Dwarves are not exactly dwarves, orcs are not quite orcs, and Argonians, well, they're a little bit more than just walking lizard things. But to understand exactly how much more, we first have to discuss the creatures that, as far as the Argonians are concerned, gave them life. The Hist. An ancient race, quite possibly the oldest living beings on Nirn, or even Mundus for that matter, potentially surpassing even the Aedra and Daedra in origin. Some say they're aliens. Some yet claim that they were simply the original inhabitants of one of the 12 worlds that were smashed together to create Nirn before the beginning of time. And some say that they actually don't belong here at all, but rather they are remnants of a previous dream that somehow persisted through into this one. Now, whether they really are one or perhaps even all of those things, we may never know. What we do know is that they share a very close bond with the Argonians. You see, ingesting the sap of a Hist has profound impact on an Argonian, ranging from massively increased strength and stamina in battle, all the way to the determination of their very gender at birth. It is also known that the Hist have the ability to communicate telepathically with any Argonian that has ingested the sap. Ultimately, whether or not you believe that they were genetically bioengineered by a group of sentient trees from another realm, there's no denying that the Argonians remain probably the most alien race in Tamriel, not only in appearance, but also in practice. Having been displaced into the swamps of Black Marsh a long time ago, the Argonians have been forced to deal with what is easily the most inhospitable environment on the face of Nirn. As a result, they have evolved with a myriad of distinct adaptations, mostly reptilian, but also amphibian and even avian in nature, which allow them to thrive and flourish under conditions that any non-native would find hostile at best. And in fact, as hard as they have tried, not a single empire of man has ever been successful in completely conquering the region of Black Marsh. Now granted, Tiber Septim's empire did acquire the outer edges via treaty, but even the great Talos himself dared not attempt to wade into the inner swamps and face the heart of the Kingdom of Argonia, which has always remained outside of Imperial control. Unfortunately, this very resilience has also been the cause of much pain for the Argonians, as it just so happens to have made them excellent candidates as laborers. Having just forcibly left the Empire in the Second Era, the Argonians fell under attack from the Dunmer of Morrowind, who managed to succeed in capturing entire tribes of the lizard folk and dragging them away to plantations in chains. But as it turns out, the tides would soon change, because just a few hundred years later, Morrowind came under attack from the Akavir to the east. The invaders fought against a joint army of Dunmer and Nords, but with the full force of their fleet on the horizon, seemed only certain that Tamriel would soon belong to the Akaviri. What no one knew, however, is that a single Argonian slave girl had escaped her dark elf captors, and managed to gather reinforcements from her people. About to be overrun by the Akaviri onslaught, the Dunmer were no doubt terrified as they witnessed a regiment of elite Argonian shellback warriors running at them full force, weapons drawn, and shackle-free. And in fact, some of them did indeed attack the Argonians out of fear, But the Saxhleel were not there for revenge that day. And after helping to drive the Akaviri invaders back into the sea from whence they came, the grateful Dunmer quickly and formally put an end to the enslavement of Argonians. And it was on that very day that the Ebonheart Pact was born. In the Third Era, thanks to the actions of a fanatical cult known as the Mythic Dawn, Tamriel found itself in the midst of a sudden, violent, widespread invasion by the Daedric prince Mehrunes Dagon. Oblivion gates were opening up everywhere, and Daedric foot soldiers poured out by the hundreds. The result? Entire provinces were utterly devastated by the demon spawn of the Deadlands. Well, most provinces, that is. But not Black Marsh. Because there was one thing the Daedra hadn't counted on. The Hist. You see, the Hist had foreseen the invasion, and they used telepathy to call back the majority of Argonians to fight for their homelands. So when the Oblivion gates opened up in Black Marsh, it wasn't Daedra that came pouring out, but Argonians that went pouring in. To say that they surprised the Daedra would be an understatement. The Argonians struck swiftly, and in such numbers that the overwhelmed Daedra had no choice but to quickly close the gates that they'd opened in Black Marsh. A philosopher once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The Argonians knew this. Their history as a people has been shaped not by what they did, but by how they handled the circumstances given them. They also weren't afraid to be aliens. They knew they were different. They accepted it. They used it. They were cut from a different cloth than those around them, and that didn't bother them one bit. In fact, they were proud of it. The question is, what about you? Because you too will be considered an alien, Knight of Muscle and Magicka, because of the way you train, because of the way you eat, just for the simple fact that you care about your fitness. You hold yourself to a higher standard, and that makes people uncomfortable, sometimes even afraid. And if it hasn't happened yet, I promise you that it will. You will be challenged by those around you. Will you learn to adapt? To evolve? To develop leather skin? You will be questioned. Will you have the foresight to know when not to attack? Hear me, Knight. Sooner or later, circumstances will be pitted against you, and you will feel as if you are beset on all sides by the very fires of hell itself. And when that time comes, hell will find you, just as it found the Argonians, already waiting at the gates.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for this quest. If you enjoyed the episode or perhaps gained a few experience points, don't forget to like the video. And of course, make sure you subscribe to the channel and join the Order of Muscle and Magicka, where as Guildmaster, it is my quest to make sure that I arm you with all the weapons and spells and various tools you may need to enable your experience bar and level up your fitness and nutrition. Until next time, stay vigilant, and as they say in the dragon's tongue, Braswaza!